Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into quite a situation, a real collision actually, between pop culture, politics, late night TV, really.
Yeah, it's centered on Jimmy Kimmel, but it's much bigger than that. We're looking at sources covering this right up to today, September 22nd, 2025.
And the core of it is, well, the FCC targeting ABC, Kimmel show getting pulled, this huge reaction from Hollywood stars.
Over 400 of them, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's the money side, the economic hit. That's what we're trying to piece together today.
Because this isn't just about, celebrities and jokes. It feels like a major test for free speech, for satire.
Absolutely. It's hitting right at how government regulation might influence media, especially news and satire in the U.S. So where did this spark really ignite?
Okay, so Section 1, the spark and the hammer, it kicked off with a Kimmel monologue, right? September 15th.
That's the one. He really went after President Trump's immigration policies. But the key thing seems to be the focus on Trump's ex-posts.
The ones calling the media enemies of the people? Kimmel spent quite a bit of time on that.
And boom, the reaction from the FCC was, well, incredibly fast and heavy-handed. We're talking threats of huge fines.
And not just fines, they actually hinted at pulling ABC's broadcast license. That's a massive threat.
Massive. Citing, and this is pretty vague, breaching public standards?
Which led to ABC pulling Jimmy Kimmel Live. Just gone indefinitely.
Yeah, the official line was technical issues.
Right, technical issues. But Kimmel himself, in that last show, he was pretty direct. He said something like, I'll keep mocking power, but when they threaten thousands of jobs, it's no joke.
Which is powerful, yeah. But you also wonder how much of that is pure Kimmel versus, say, Disney's crisis management talking.
True, but the threat itself is potent because we're talking broadcast TV here, not cable or streaming.
Exactly. Public airwaves. That gives the FCC real teeth. They can fine for indecent content, sure, but this feels different. This feels like using that power to target political speech, specifically satire.
It feels like a tool, almost. And it's not totally out of the blue, is it? We've seen steps in this direction before.
Right, you remember 2024? The administration went after Netflix over that film, Cuties. Okay, that was framed as about protecting kids, inappropriate content.
But it still showed they were willing to lean on big media platforms.
Precisely. It sort of set a precedent. And maybe tested the waters. Now the target seems much more clearly political critique.
So Kimmel makes the jokes, the FCC brings the hammer down, but Hollywood didn't just sit back, did they?
Oh, definitely not. Section 2, the Hollywood counterpunch. This was organized, fast, and big. On September 21st, the ACLU dropped an open letter.
And the list of names. Oh, you said over 400. It really is like an Oscars guest list.
Seriously, you've got Tom Hanks, Jennifer Aniston, Meryl Streep is on there, Florence Pugh, Jason Bateman.
Jamie Lee Curtis, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. These are huge names. Industry heavyweights with massive fan bases.
And they weren't subtle. Hanks was quoted saying, "We won't let censorship drag us back to the 1950s.
That 1950s comparison, that's powerful framing.
It's totally intentional. The letter itself says, "We, the people, reject government threats to free speech. Silencing critics with intimidation is a gut punch to a free country." They're explicitly invoking McCarthyism, the Hollywood blacklist.
Trying to raise the stakes, make it about history, about fundamental rights.
Exactly. And the ACLU immediately broadened it out, saying, look, this isn't just Kimmel. It affects teachers, journalists, students, anyone the government might want to silence.
Meanwhile, social media just exploded, right?
Completely. Hashtag Free Kimmel was everywhere, like 5 million mentions. Big names amplifying it too. Oprah, Leonardo DiCaprio.
But it wasn't just one-sided online.
No, not at all. The counter-reaction was immediate. Conservative commentators jumped in, folks like Ben Shapiro calling it liberal nonsense, talking about anti-American propaganda on TV.
And then Trump himself weighed in on X.
Yep, called it fake news whining again. Said the FCC protects Americans from lies, told Kimmel to go back to school.
So basically framing it as truth versus lies, protection versus attack, instantly polarizing the whole thing.
Absolutely. Drawing clear lines in the sand for his supporters.
Okay, let's shift to Section 3, the fallout. Because this isn't just statements and hashtags. There's real financial pain here.
Oh, yeah. The impact was immediate. Fans started organizing boycotts against Disney, ABC's parent company.
Using their subscription money as leverage.
And it worked. The data shows Disney stock took a 3% hit in just 24 hours. That's significant. And sources are saying around 100,000 subscriptions canceled already.
Across Disney+, Odys, ESPN+, Odo, Hulu, that adds up fast. That's the kind of number that gets boardroom attention.
Definitely. And it created this immediate chill across the industry, this cold shoulder effect, they're calling it.
You mean other studios getting nervous?
Exactly. Reports are that places like Warner Bros., Paramount, they're quietly telling writers, maybe ease up on the politics for a bit.
Wow. So self-censorship starts creeping in almost instantly. That changes the creative environment overnight.
It does, which is why that 400-star letter is more than just celebrity complaining. It's a calculated move.
How so? You mean leveraging their fame?
Leveraging their collective cultural and economic power. Think back to the #MeToo movement in 2017, how Hollywood mobilized then. This feels similar. They're trying to make the cost of silencing Kimmel through bad PR, through boycotts, way higher than the cost of putting him back on air.
Make it financially painful for Disney to keep him off.
Precisely. And the pain is spreading. Look at the other late-night shows. The Tonight Show, now with Colin Jost, apparently lost 15% of its audience just this week.
Why? Because they pulled back on political stuff, too.
Seems likely. Probably trying to avoid the same kind of trouble, but maybe alienating viewers who expect that edge. The whole sector is feeling the squeeze.
Okay, so the industry's hurting, maybe fracturing. Where does Kimmel himself go from here? Section 4. What's next?
Well, if broadcast TV is effectively closed off, or at least too risky, streaming is the obvious escape hatch.
Like Netflix or HBO Max, where the rules are different.
Exactly. Much looser regulation, at least for now. Shows like Hustlers, Gamblers, Crooks thrive there precisely because they can push boundaries. Or he could go the podcast route. Pure audio.
Though, could the FCC still cause trouble there, maybe with radio syndication?
It's possible. There are reports suggesting they could try to block him from traditional regulated radio airwaves. So maybe not entirely free and clear.
This whole mess has people spinning theories about what's really going on, right?
Oh, absolutely. Theory 1 is what you might call the strategic purge.
The idea being this isn't random, it's a deliberate strategy.
Yeah, that this is the administration, maybe Trump specifically, using the FCC like a weapon to clear out critical voices in the media before the 2026 midterms.
And if that's true, who's next?
The prediction tied to that theory is Saturday Night Live, another big platform known for political satire. Push them to tone it down or face the same heat.
So under this theory, the ACLU letter, the stars, it's basically a defensive move, hoping a big lawsuit can slow the administration down.
Pretty much. Banking on legal challenges and public pressure. Then there's theory 2, the fractured industry.
This one suggests the split we're seeing is permanent.
Right, that Hollywood is basically breaking apart along political lines. You've got conservative stars like Jon Voight, Kevin Sorbo, publicly dismissing the letter, calling it liberal nonsense.
Which could lead to, what, a separate ecosystem?
Potentially. An alt-Hollywood, maybe.
Yeah.
Using platforms like Rumble or Truth Social, creating content specifically for that Magi-aligned audience that feels left out by mainstream entertainment.
And there's even a wilder tech angle in this theory.
Yeah, this idea of AI deepfakes. Could people start creating like deepfake Trump videos for satire that are just impossible to regulate because they're everywhere? And maybe Netflix jumps in, gives Kimmel a show called The Kimmel Files, makes him a free speech icon.
Okay, that's pretty out there. What about a more optimistic theory?
Well, theory 3 is the Phoenix moment. The idea here is that the pressure, especially the Disney boycott, actually works.
Forces ABC's hand.
Yeah, forces them to bring Kimmel back, maybe by November. And if that happens, it doesn't just fix the immediate problem. It could actually forge this new anti-censorship alliance.
Meaning?
Stars putting their money where their mouth is, maybe funding independent journalists, creators on platforms like Substack, basically building a more resilient ecosystem for critical voices.
There's a precedent for that kind of internal Hollywood action, isn't there?
There is. Think about the aftermath of #MeToo. You saw a real, measurable shift. DEI budgets jumped, like 40% according to some sources.
Yeah.
Companies responded to the pressure with policy changes and funding shifts.
So the idea is Hollywood can mobilize its resources to force change when the pressure is high enough.
Exactly. It knows how to react to scandal and public outcry with tangible actions. So that's the hopeful scenario.
But even if Kimmel comes back, the underlying issue doesn't just vanish.
No, the long-term trend seems clear. This whole crisis is probably pushing Hollywood faster towards streaming. The regulations are looser there, for now.
For now, that's the big caveat, isn't it?
It is, because if the political climate stays this heated, or gets worse, who's to say the FCC or some future regulatory body won't figure out a way to extend its reach into streaming content too?
Pushing controversial content further underground, almost like, well, like the blacklist era they keep referencing.
It's a real possibility. Which brings us back to the core stakes here.
Yeah, wrapping this up. It feels like we're watching Hollywood act as, I don't know, America's pulse. This is playing out like a fundamental test of democracy, but the stage is a late-night comedy show.
It really is. And if an entity with the power of the FCC can effectively silence a major network show almost overnight,
Hmm.
it really makes you ask that question.
How long before that regulatory impulse finds a way to reach into Netflix, HBO Max, the places we think of as unregulated?
Is the goal just to contain criticism in those spaces, or is the next step figuring out how to regulate those spaces too?
So the final thought for you, the listener, is really about that future. What is the actual final frontier for truly loose regulation, especially for political critique, in our totally connected digital world? Where does that line ultimately get drawn? Something to think about as this whole situation keeps evolving.